Hello, welcome to Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Red Green Tron this time around, and this is a mirror match. So let's see if we can get this one underway. Opponents on the play. This is our opener. We've got Tower, Double Mine, Stomping Ground, then Wormcoil, Ugin, and the Pyroclasm. It's a decent hand. Obviously, we've got two parts of Tron. Pyroclasm hopefully will deal with any early threats. Obviously our opponent turns out to be Tron, so that's less likely to occur, but obviously it would have been a good card to have in case we were playing against a sort of fast aggro deck or something. And then obviously we've got some big threats to drop as well once we get Tron online. So opponent leads off with a power plant into a chromatic sphere. We're going to lead off with a tower into nothing. Opponent plays Chromatic Sphere into Grove of the Burn Willows, Sylvan Scrying, finding an Urza's Tower. So see that his second land isn't a Tron piece. He's going to be able to search up a tower, but doesn't look like he's got the Urza's Mine, so we might be kind of on equal footing, I suppose, at the moment. We find a Sylvan Scrying of our own, so we can either cast that now to find the third piece of Tron, which seems like a decent idea. I'm not sure if that's actually how I played it. Yeah, so I play the Carpolution Forest. Obviously I would like to have Grove of the Burn Willows, but trying to be budget it as much as possible. And then the Scrying, and then we can find the power plant, which is the last piece of the puzzle we require. Opponent plays an Oblivion Stone, which is fine. Obviously we don't have anything on the board at the moment, so I'm not too concerned about Oblivion Stone. Obviously need to be aware of it. Find an expedition map. So at this point we kind of want to get Eye of Ugin with the expedition map, and then we can search up more threats this way, even if he does Oblivion Stone something away. Not too concerned, although we're probably going to run out this Wormcoil, which works well with the Oblivion Stone, or against the Oblivion Stone in this case, as it'll leave us something behind to work with. But yeah, going to drop the map, probably going to search up an Eye of Ugin to keep our threats coming. Great for us, obviously isn't able to put Tron together just yet, also means you can't actually blow this Oblivion Stone. And an Oblivion Stone of our own, which is fine. I'm just going to run out the Wormcoil, obviously fine with him stunning that. There's another Grove of the Burn Willows, obviously struggling to get things together on his end. I attack with the Wormcoil, which prompts our opponent to blow up the Oblivion Stone. Gets to drop 2 tokens down, and then we can drop our Ugin +3, and then drop our Eye of Ugin, so we can set up either drawing more creatures or dropping this Ulamog next turn. Either one is pretty good. Dropping Ulamog actually would be particularly good here, because we can just blow up one of his Tron pieces, and that'll be pretty tasty. Opponent plays Forest, which is definitely not very good for him, but does have a Wormcoil engine, which kind of stalls our attacking at the moment, but not for long, I don't imagine. Mine, and I think this is going to be Ulamog. Oh yeah, so we can Ulamog, blow up the Wormcoil engine, and then Ugin can bolt away one of the guys. We probably didn't need to do that in general, because Ulamog's going to be good enough as he is, probably, given that he's indestructible and all. So maybe we could have blown up one of the Tron pieces just to make sure that he definitely doesn't get that Tron together. It's not been looking great for him so far, regardless. So I attack with my guy, worm tokens. One gets a Khan, which gets to exile the Ulamog, which is unfortunate. If we'd blown up his land instead, then that wouldn't have happened, which maybe would have been a better idea, I guess. Our Ugin's now at 11, so we can actually ultimate it, which is always pretty awesome. I think that's what we're going to do here. So drop a land, draw 7. Now we can drop Oblivion Stone, some lands, and some chromatic stars and spheres, etc. onto the board. Most important, awesome. I think I +4 of this Khan, and then kill off his Khan with my worm token, and then we can exile a card out of his graveyard, etc. So yeah, we're well and truly in hand there. So our opponent ends up conceding. Yeah, Ultimate Ugin is always pretty awesome. To take a bit of a time to set up, but he even survives it. So yeah, our opponent is very, very, very dead at this point. And we've also got a ridiculous amount of mana, so we could probably search up an Emrakul as well if we just wanted to, you know, really rub it in. So let's go on to game 2, see how this goes. Okay, so this is not a great opener. We've only got 1 land, which is a bit risky. Lots of chromatic artifacts. We've got 2 chromatic stars and a chromatic sphere, Sylvan Scrying, Oblivion Stone, and Carnival Braid. So it would be a good hand if we get it together. I don't know if we really want to keep this though. I think I might have risked it though. Our opponent ends up mulliganing 5. Yeah, I decided to risk it, which is a little bit crazy. I think mainly on the basis that we have all these chromatic artifacts. We're on the draw, and we can really get something going if we can cast this Sylvan Scrying off another land. So run out the mine into a chromatic star, opponent led with tower, into mine, into chromatic star, cracks the chromatic star into nothing, which is fine. We don't draw a land here, which is making our decision to keep this hand a little more sketchy. Again, we don't draw a land, so I'm just going to run out another chromatic star so we can draw another card next turn. Hunt doesn't have Tron, but has Sylvan Scrying to put Tron together here. So definitely glad he didn't have Tron. Obviously Khan exiling our 1 land would have been pretty devastating. We draw Stomping Ground, which isn't the kind of land we wanted, but is obviously a lot better than not being able to play land at all. I'm going to start by cracking the star just to see if we can draw another Tron piece. But no. I'm going to run out of Stomping Ground, and I think we're going to Scrying here. Yeah, so we're going to Scry here, we're going to get another Tron piece, and then we can play that next turn, and then find another Tron piece to finish Tron next turn, either with the map or the Sylvan Scrying. I had to discard there. I ended up discarding Khan. I'm kind of hoping we don't need 2 Khans, and everything else seems kind of more useful as it stands. So our opponent puts Tron together, Scrying's up an Ivugin, as I did last turn. Once you've got Tron, Ivugin's a brilliant way to just sort of tutor up ridiculous threats. And he drops a Wormcoil Engine on us, which isn't great. We naturally draw into Urza's Power Plant, which is good. So now we've got Tron and we can drop this Expedition map. And probably going to do the same, search up a Ivugin. So opponent drops his Ivugin, Ancient Stirrings, and puts Ugin into his hand, which is pretty threatening. But he can't cast it just yet. And then he searches with Ivugin on his own. Seems a little odd. There isn't a ton of instants to bluff with anyway, but there is no real reason to do it then. And I believe he searched up a Wormcoil Engine. It's actually fine. There's a lot more devastating things he could have searched up. Particularly if he has Ulamog. Not every Tron deck runs Ulamog, but if he had Ulamog and then was able to blow up one of our Tron lands, that would put us back quite a way. But Wormcoil Engine number 2 we can probably live with. So I expect, and I get Ugin. We draw a Wormcoil Engine of our own, which is nice. I'm just going to drop the Khan here. We could have exiled the land. I ended up exiling the Wormcoil Engine, which I think on reflection was a bad idea. Or alternatively we could have just plus forward, I guess, but I think we need to exile something to make sure our opponent doesn't go too crazy, but I think it's probably better off exiling the land, particularly as we knew he had Ugin coming down next turn, which is a real problem, and can kill off our Khan by plus 2ing and targeting us. So I think we should have exiled the land here, most probably, and then we would have been certainly in the ascendancy, I think. So an error on my part, really. And then we just drop another chromatic star onto the battlefield here. From Tron piece, drops Ugin. We're lagging a little bit here. Yeah, drops in plus 2s and kills our Khan off. So that's a little unfortunate. If we'd taken the tower away, then he wouldn't have been able to do that turn. Or at least most probably not. I assume he doesn't have another tower, otherwise I imagine he would have played it this turn. And then he drops another chromatic sphere onto the battlefield. Draws a card. We draw another Tron piece in the form of an Urza's power plant. I just want to drop Eye of Ugin, and we're going to try and have to go big, really. Probably search up either an Ulamog or potentially an Emrakul. We've got a lot of shooters in hand, and if we could drop the Emrakul, we'd certainly be in a winning position, which would be good. But yeah, so we're going to want to search up something this turn, but we've also got to worry about Ugin. We've got Oblivion Stone that can deal with Ugin though, so if we can shoot something up and then drop Oblivion Stone next turn, and then set up for a big Eldrazi on the opponent plays Ulamog, a Wormcoil Engine, plays an Oblivion Stone of his own for no obvious reason, and plus 2s is Ugin. Yeah, I don't agree with him playing his Oblivion Stone there. There's no reason for him to do it, so yeah, I just don't really see any good reason for doing that. So I can either search up Ulamog or Emrakul here, but we really can't afford for him to ultimate his Ugin, because it's going to be devastating. So I definitely want to spend next turn casting Oblivion Stone and blowing it up. So I end up going for the Emrakul instead of the Ulamog. We can hopefully set that up to go for next turn. We've got Sylvan Scrying, which can search up a tower, and then we can probably get the 13 mana required for the eye out to cast it, which hopefully should end the game. So you could have gone either way, but I think the Emrakul is probably the right play in the end. Here we draw a Wormcoil Engine, which we're not going to play out obviously because we need to Oblivion Stone as previously mentioned. Crack my Chromatic Star, which draws us an Ugin of our own, which actually we could have cast, and our opponent has, well, I suppose we're pretty light on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I suppose we could have actually battled back with our own Ugin, but it's only going to die to his Wormcoil Engine, which is probably not a good idea. I definitely think Oblivion Stoning at the beginning of his next turn is a good idea, and I found the tower, so we're going to have enough mana to hopefully cast Emrakul the following turn. So we'll offer Oblivion Stone on his upkeep. This way we don't get hit by the 2 Wormcoil tokens, as I'll have now come in Summoning Sick for this turn, and obviously we don't give him the chance to ultimate Ugin, which would definitely be bad news for us. So we wipe away his Oblivion Stone, his Ugin, and the Worm Coil. Opponent uses Eye to search up a... Oh, he searches up his own Emrakul, which is a nice idea, but is not going to be good enough because we're going to be able to cast ours right now. So we have just enough mana to cast this Emrakul, which earns us an extra turn. I attack. Actually should have just cast the Ugin and killed off one of these Worm Coils just to get an extra permanent killed, but doesn't make a great deal of difference. Opponent is actually able to keep Tron together, actually regardless of whether we actually killed another Worm Coil token. And now we're just going to play our Worm Coil engine, drop our Ugin, and +3 that, and then stirring to see what else we can find, and we actually find another Karn, which is brilliant. So yeah, the only thing I was really potentially concerned about was him dropping an Oblivion Stone and killing a lot of stuff. Pretty sure Emrakul is not indestructible. Yeah, so he could have Oblivion Stoned, thrown everything away, and then we would have been in a not ideal situation, which is precisely why I dropped the Worm Coil and not just Ugin, as then we obviously are left with some tokens to work with, and then that leaves him in a bad position because it would have would have used up nearly all, drop an Oblivion Stone and blow it up. So yeah, our opponent, I'm pretty sure, concedes fairly shortly afterwards. Drops Relic, cracks it, and yeah, we get the concession. So yeah, it was kind of a race to Emrakul. I think my opponent realised that later than I did, and we managed to, although initially behind, bring it back and then drop the Emrakul for the was a very fun match, full of big haymaker plays and stuff. Obviously it is kind of a race to Tron, and then after that we get sort of the battle of the haymakers, which is very fun. Obviously Ugin as well is a very big player in, you know, searching out the cards you want to play. And yeah, very fun matchup, the mirror match.